This is going to be a two-game series between INTZ and Virtus Legion as far as these two teams are concerned. I don't have a lot of information on Virtus Legion. I haven't watched them very much, but in their last head-to-head confrontation with INTZ, they did take it 2-0. That said, as far as the scene as a whole is concerned, Virtus Legion have lost some very convincing games against teams that INTZ are known to beat, like Isra's pretty recently 2-0'd Virtus Legion in the joinDOTA League, or the previous joinDOTA League, and INTZ have taken them out. So we'll go into this draft, and I'd expect it to be a pretty darn close one. It's really hard to call who's actually going to take this series. I'd lean towards INTZ, especially now that they have a bounty hunter on their side. As far as the bans are concerned, Queen of Pain, Gyrocopter, Lush, Undying, taken out of the pool. No big surprises there. Now, for Virtus Legion, there are several ways that you can deal with the bounty hunter. Just burst him down at the beginning of the fight, or make it almost impossible for the early roams to work out. And I'd expect them to pick up something along the lines of a Dazzle here, or an Earthshaker, just some good defensive support to partner up with whoever's going to be playing in their mid lane. Like an Earthshaker, Shadow Fiend opener wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. It is also worth noting that since Virtus Legion were late, they were docked 30 seconds of the reserve time in this draft, so they are going to have a little bit less time to run with, but they're going to start eating into that right now as they consider how to deal with this bounty. Touted as one of the greatest heroes in the patch right now, as really the name of the game is aggression and constant fighting. A bounty hunter really thrives in that sort of environment. Tusk is going to be a pickup for Virtus Legion, another one of those powerhouse heroes, and a pretty darn good one for their team, so well, let's see how they're going to utilize the hero, but in general offers a truck ton of utility. Between the Ice Shards block, the Snowball Sun, and the Ice Sigil, he's an amazing hero and offers so much to the team when it comes to those early aggressive plays. Similar to the Bounty Hunter, is going to have a lot of tools to help assist the team in whatever they're going to do, and also just a very flexible hero. Generally played as a roamer or as your offlaner, depending on the situation. They'll follow that up with a Winter Wyvern, so many annoying spells to stop the enemy from getting those kills. Between the Cold Embrace, between the Snowball, it might be very difficult for this Bounty Hunter to set up those early kills if the rotations coming out from Virtus Legion are on point. So I think this is a pretty good way to start your draft for Virtus Legion. Doesn't tell the enemy team anything, really, I want to say. Winter Wyvern and Tusk are both very versatile in their own right. For its next pick, it's going to be Alina, another one of those versatile heroes, but does pretty darn well against both Tusk and Winter Wyvern. When you snowball in, if Lina is not the one being stunned, she can very easily drop a Light Strike array where you're going to drop. If you've committed more than one hero, that could end up going pretty disastrously for you, and can very easily burst targets down inside the Cold Embrace. So pretty good against both of these heroes, and even more is going to pick up Yule Scepter, which is great defensively against the Tusk himself. Second ban stage, really quick, as both of these teams barrel through. A Darkseer Anti-Mage ban by INTZ, and then a Bloodseeker Viper ban coming out from Virtus Legion. Skywrath Mage for Virtus Legion, going to be a very interesting pick for them. It's going to be Skywrath picked into a Bounty Hunter, picked into a Lina. These heroes are very good at punishing the support, Skywrath especially. And up until this point, I think it's safe to assume that that probably is a support. However, the benefits coming out from the Skywrath Mage, he's very good at focusing down the targets that get caught out inside the Winter's Curse and combos nicely with the Tusk aggressively. But if he gets behind, might just end up getting lasered down by Lina, chased down by Bounty Hunter time and time again. The Dazzle for INTZ is going to be their defensive support to run with. Good inside the Roshan pit. Weave is great for taking up the damage that he deals and taking the fight after the fact, and a natural medallion builder too. Although if your support duo is Bounty Hunter, Dazzle, it is pretty stun light. You have one of the better disabling mids in the Lina. Should INTZ decide to run it that way, or there is the potential for an offlane Bounty Hunter and it's a support Lina Dazzle, although that's a lot less likely. Oh, Virtus Legion are going to have to show some sort of core here in the next pick, or at least I'd assume so, unless they're going to do something really crazy with the Tuscan Skywrath. Phantom Lancer might be a pretty reasonable pick here, although Lina is pretty good against PL, especially at the early stages before PL gets a lot of stat items, is just a comfortable hero for a lot of these teams and works very well. However, Virtus Legion are down very low onto their reserve time, less than 20 seconds left, so no matter what they're going to pick, they're going to have to pick it quickly. It's going to be a Zeus. A lot of magic burst damage coming out from Virtus Legion whenever amplified by that ancient seal. These heroes are going to melt, but that said, this Zeus is not going to have a great time inside the mid lane. It looks like his matchup, whether it be Ember Spirit or Lina, could very easily catch him out if a Bounty Hunter roams into that lane. And it also puts Virtus Legion very heavily invested into the magic nuke damage. And honestly, I think something like a Huskar might have been in consideration for the INTZ Esports Club this game. Just given the draft coming out from Virtus Legion, I could really see a Huskar doing well for them. Although maybe not anymore, since they have committed for the Ember Spirit. Although there is a good amount of lockdown to keep the Ember Spirit at bay, and Huskar has been banned out by Virtus Legion, no big surprises there. It's still a hero that a lot of teams like running, and to mixed success. I think this game might be a little bit hard for the Ember Spirit since he is dealing with Skywrath Mage, as well as the likes of Tusk and Winter Wyvern. Although Tusk and Winter Wyvern's lockdown either isn't very consistent, the Tusk is very small or very short duration, isn't 100%, and Winter Wyvern's is very cooldown reliant. They still have a lot of ways to deal with it. Luna going to be the last ban coming out from INTZ, just making sure that they don't get run down this early game, which very well could happen if the Zeus and Skywrath Mage get off to a good start. But yeah, Virtus Legion's lineup in general is looking a tad bit squishy, and I think INTZ have the upper hand. Bounty Hunter should be able to secure a couple of these kills, especially on the likes of Winter Wyvern, Skywrath, and should be able to get his experience that way. Even though INTZ's lineup as a whole is fairly lockdown light, they have a couple ways to cancel TPs, but no hard CC. I'm quite liking where they're going with this. It's a Juggernaut pick for Virtus Legion. Alrighty then. Juggernaut's a hero that crops up every once in a while, especially in the Tier 2 Chinese scene. They really do favor the 5th pick Juggernaut when there's not a lot to deal with him. At the moment, the Disables won't be able to catch it to Juggernaut reliably. Eul Scepter into Light Strike Array is very difficult to line up before the Juggernaut gets his spin-off, and yeah, there really isn't anything else that Juggernaut has to worry about. So in that sense, I think Juggernaut is fine, but between the Dazzle, the armor that he's going to offer, and just the raw mobility of INTZ heroes, I really fear for Juggernaut's ability to actually deal damage inside the fights, although he is going to be a pretty reliable carry. Virtus Legion are going to rely a little bit on snowballing, no pun intended. I know that's completely run into the ground, but yeah, they're going to need to do well in these lanes and get off to a good start in order to make sure that INTZ don't completely ball out with this game. If INTZ are able to take this late and just constantly trade kills with the Bounty Hunter track, they'll be in a really good situation, I feel. It's going to be a Spirit Breaker last for the side of INTZ Esports Club, and it's going to round out their lineup nicely. An aggressive offlaner for them, and I think that's a good direction to be going in. It's really going to be very hard for Virtus Legion to move comfortably around this map when you have the threat of an Invis Bounty Hunter and a Spirit Breaker roaming at you. Right now, it's one of the scariest combos in pubs and in professional games alike, and I think INTZ are more primed for a very scary game, especially when you have the Shallow Grave to back up the likes of Ember Spirit and Ember Spirit and Lina. They can get so much damage off in just those couple extra seconds. So it's going to be very important that Virtus Legion focus down that Dazzle and make sure that's not going to be an option, and get some map control early to mitigate the effects of the Spirit Breaker Bounty Hunter roam. They have some tools to do that, but yeah, this couple early minutes of this game is going to be very telling. If they can shut down the Bounty Hunter's roam, I think Virtus Legion will be very happy with everything. Let's go ahead and quickly introduce our teams. On the dire side is INTZ Esports Gaming Club. And we're going to have King RD playing on the Ember Spirit, Vava on the Lina ACC, on the Dazzle Grunt XD, on the Spirit Breaker, and Vaga on the Bounty Hunter. I know they probably run with different names usually, but apparently these are the names that they're running with now. So I was going to be playing on the Zeus for the Radiant side, which is Virtus Legion, Chungo. On the Tusk, Bone Fletcher going to be playing on the Skywrath Mage, Hey Moonshaker on the Juggernaut, and SGG on the Winter Wyvern. They're going to move out to the top lane as a unit, and let's see what their team can accomplish as we take a quick look at the starting item builds for everybody. Nothing too out of the ordinary here, but hey, look at that. Ember Spirit's going to walk out here. He does have a ward, going to place that very quickly down, trying to get the Ice Shards block off, and is going to be successful onto King RD. Has some tangos, but not even necessary. He is able to weasel his way through the trees as well as the Ice Shards. Skills Flame Guard level 1. Can he escape here? Slowed down by the Arctic Burn with no support. And King RD barely going to survive under his tower. My goodness, that was close, as he'll drop very low. But that extra bit of sustain coming out from the Flame Shield is going to keep him alive, although it does force him to use his salve. And Virtus Legion already on a very aggressive track that will secure themselves a bounty rune and apply a lot of pressure early to that Ember. I don't think they're going to stick around as an aggressive tri-lane, although they might. They have all of their heroes committed to this top lane. Nobody's running bottom as of yet. They could potentially leave the Juggernaut solo versus the Spirit Breakers. The bounty runes are going to be secured by either side. One for the Lina, one for the Zeus. That should be our mid lane matchup, as the Ember Spirit looks to be safe lane farming. Dual lane coming out from the Tusk and Skywrath Mage is going to be really annoying for King RD to deal with. Ember Spirit's weakest stage is usually in that laning stage if he doesn't have sufficient support to back him up, and since the Dazzle and Bounty Hunter are going to be very hands-off in their approach to this lane, mostly just sitting behind and either looking for kills like Bounty Hunter is in mid as he opens up onto the Zeus, or trying to turn around and save the Ember Spirit's life. But for the most part, he's left alone. That's going to be really annoying. At this point, the Flame Shield really doesn't block any of the damage that's required, even though Scarlet Mage went for Kong Shot level 1. Once the Arcane Bolts start flying, Ember Spirit's going to be put under a lot of pressure. So already these lanes are looking alright for Virtus Legion. Bog in the mid lane is going to be a nuisance, but it looks like the Zeus should be able to walk back far enough to where his courier shouldn't get sniped. The Bounty Hunter, although he'd love to make that rotation, isn't going to be possible. See, the bottle has been delivered. Scarlet Mage over in the sidelines is going to soak some experience or try to interrupt the pull, and he'll be successful. He's going to pull the creep wave all the way on their tower, where Tusk as well as himself can enjoy some much needed experience. But mid lane, they're going to look for a kill onto the Zeus. They have no points in Light Strike Array, so actually getting that kill is going to be very difficult. Zeus has the bottle and will be able to sustain himself for now. But Zeus has no vision control in mid over the Bounty Hunter. I don't think he was pulled a sentry, but even if he was, that's been since taken out. And yeah, no points in Bolt yet for the Zeus, so he can't even remove that sentry ward. Landing stage has been pretty static overall, as everybody's just comfortable sitting in their lanes, and I think this is fine. Ooh, in mid lane, Lena's going to be dropped low, probably forced to use their salve, and top lane looks like they're angling too, with the Ember Spirit getting the chains on both Bone Fletcher as well as Chungo. They might be able to turn around for first blood. Scarlet Mage evades towards the left-hand side, and Chungo should be okay here. I don't think King RD has enough mana, and not enough cooldown, more importantly, since he did have the Mango to blow if there was a kill opportunity. Down here, and just going to Clarity and Invis up towards top lane. The Scarlet Mage is pretty darn low, and Bone Fletcher might end up getting caught out here. Ooh, apologies, I misplaced the D2L logo. Shout out to Dota 2 Lounge at the moment. That's where you can bet for these games. But they're going to open up onto the Scarlet Mage. Bone Fletcher drop down to half HP. They need some sort of disable to connect. Ice Shard's going to wall him in with a heal bomb. That's going to be ACC, drawing first blood. Units are going to find themselves with a nice advantage already, and especially when you look at the mid lane disparity. 13-5 compared to 18-0, and with the stun landing, that's going to be a lot of harassment of the Zeus, forcing out the illusion rune, and my goodness, Vava is going to look for it. It won't be able to get this kill, although that's a lot of pressure being applied. The bottle has not yet been picked up by the Lina, instead opting for the wand. Will be forced to ferry out some regen. That's a little bit unfortunate for the Lina, but still, CSing much better than the Zeus, kind of as to be expected. Well, as far as the other lanes are concerned, Juggernaut's farming to his heart's content down in the bottom lane. Not much pressure the Spirit Breaker can apply, but on the same note, since they did opt for these dual lanes, Winter Wyvern and Juggernaut's not going to be able to completely zone out the Bara. And he gets a bash on SGG. Will they be able to chase down this kill? Arctic Burn's going to buy him a little bit of space, but not near enough with the slows coming out from the Orb of Venom as well as the JoinDOTA hit. That's going to be a second kill for INTZ, and Spirit Breaker is level 4. This is a really happy Space Cow after interrupting that pull, and involving that bounty on the kill is going to propel him towards his level 6. Virtus Legion, they're putting some pressure on the Ember Spirit, but not completely stopping him from farming. I don't think this top lane is doing enough work to really warrant going for it. No, bottom lane, they're going to open up onto Hey Moonshaker, slow down even through the Blade Fair, and they get another bash. They're taking so much damage from the spin. Will they be able to secure this kill? They're charging onto the tower, and you bet they will. Shuriken Toss will secure it as Bounty Hunter grabs another one, pulling the tower aggro just for good measure. We'll cop one tower shot, and Gren XD will be able to salve up. 3-0, quick start for INTZ. And how did they get themselves out of this current game state? Because right now it's starting to look pretty poor for them. It's not over by any means, and they still have tools at their disposal, but I think it's going to rely on this Tusk especially to make some sort of move. He has boots, he has bottle, that's pretty much all a Tusk needs to start setting up some kills. Maybe on the Lina, a pretty squishy target there in the mid lane. It's a very obvious rotation to make, however, and they don't have a smoke, I believe, on the Scarlet Mage or on the Tusk, so it is going to be pretty difficult for them. So for now, INTZ are going to maintain a slight advantage across the board. Yeah. Zeus isn't going to be shut down, is still getting experience, so he can very easily contribute to these ganks, and once he gets level 6, I think that's really the time that Virtus Legion need to hit. But bottom lane, there's going to be a TP in from the Bounty Hunter. He's sitting on a double damage, and although that's going to wear off before it's relevant, he won't be able to get that double damage JoinDOTA hit off. Hey, Moonshaker's going to be opened up. Nope, going to decide better. The Bounty Hunter is going to back off. This spin has been forced out. They do have Sentry Vision inside the lane, but now it's on cooldown, and for a long time too. This is 30 seconds that maybe they can open up into Hey Moonshaker if they get a bash, but they won't, so the Spirit Breaker is just going to fall back and farm a bit. Even though the Spirit Breaker's been left alone, he's doing better than the Tusk, even though he had some dual lane support. At least as far as experience is concerned. Tusk is getting a little bit more farm. Bounty Hunter's going to scout inside the enemy woods. Doesn't find any stacks there, and he won't find any stacks over here. But maybe he'll find himself a Zeus. Zeus has 5 stick charges, has a bottle, and might be able to throw a bolt somewhere. But ooh, Baga gonna open up into him as they're diving the tower, looking for the Light Strike Array, but I don't think this is gonna work out. The Laguna Blade gonna be fogged, and now Vava's silenced up, caught out between the tier 1 and the tier 2, right into the sky with Mage with the bolt, and with the snowball coming from the north. That's going to be a much needed kill for them. They're gonna get Baga too. Dusted up, there's nowhere to run. Another Thunderbolt, and Zeus will find himself involved in 2 kills. That was a bit of an aggressive dive, I must say, coming out from INTZ. Usually diving tier 2s at this point in the game. When you have the defensive supports at the ready, the Winter Wyvern and the Tusk most importantly, it's not really advisable. Well, with that, INTZ are going to lose a little bit of a grip on this game, and charge over, Nether Strike committed. Winter Wyvern does not have an Arctic Burn, but does have the Cold Embrace, so Grant XG will be denied that kill. First use of Nether Strike isn't going to be successful. He's getting bottled up. They have another charge, but it looks like they think better of it. The Juggernaut did have Omni Slash, but does not have the mana to use it yet. So they don't have to worry about that. He commits instead for the Healing Ward. Now charge forward. They're going to look for Winter Wyvern, already low from the first round of attacks. And while still no Omni Slash available for Hey Moonshaker, is that even going to be a threat inside this fight? I don't think so. That Cold Embrace is only going to delay the inevitable. Maybe they can get a return kill onto Baga. One smack of the blade, and Juggernaut will find himself a low Bounty Hunter. But will he find him a dead Bounty Hunter? It looks like the answer is yes. Juggernaut will smack it home, and there's your Zeus ultimate. They might be able to turn around, although Hey Moonshaker is so very low and still doesn't have mana for the Omni Slash. He's going to be man fighting up against Dazzle. Dazzle, can he win this? The answer is maybe. If he jukes him with the heal bomb, that'll be the death of the Jug. Winter Wyvern is somehow still alive in all of this, chased down by the Juggernaut and the Spirit Breaker. Another chains. Ember Spirit will find himself a kill, 5-3, as INTZ get a good advantage there. Juggernaut getting mildly outplayed by ACC inside the tree line, underestimating the damage, and while it is a level 3 wave for sure, Lee's going to resume her position in mid lane, still has yet to find a Laguna Blade kill, but not with the mana to do so now. That last fight is going to be a nice gold swing for INTZ across the board. And let's go ahead and take a quick look at the net worth and experience graphs. A pretty significant advantage for INTZ, especially when it comes to the experience department. That's going to put their heroes in a pretty good spot, with the exception being the Bounty Hunter, who is only level 3. But getting a kill on the offlane Tusk sure would help. They're going to get the charge forward, Shuriken toss, Nether Strike, and everything in the kitchen sink thrown into Chungo. But it's not enough since they don't get the bash. The Snowball is going to go over the way of the Bounty Hunter, but now they're bringing the Ember Spirit too. That's going to be a level 4 for your Bounty. Maybe I spoke too soon. Really aggressive playstyle coming out from the Ember Spirit, but it seems to be working out as nobody at all is farming up in the top lane. Bounty Hunter is going to invis again. Looks like he wants to go for a similar aggressive play to what he did earlier, but I don't think he'll do that. No, he's just going to check out and see if there are any stacks available. No, just single Hellbears, single Mud Golems over in the woods, so you don't have to worry about that. And it's really hard to put a value on that information, but it is very nice to have if you're INTZ. If they did, in theory, have those stacks, maybe you could go ahead and snag them for yourselves, or at the very least know when they're missing. Over in the sidelines, they're going to catch out Grenda XD. He's silenced up, try and get out. He won't be able to charge. Omni Slash even committed, taking no chances with that Spirit Breaker. Maybe a little bit of overcommitment, but still gonna be nice that Juggernaut finds himself yet another kill. And, well, Juggernaut gonna have his full Aquila as well as Phase, sitting pretty comfortably when it comes to the net worth chart, only being beaten by the Lina, who's going to be working towards her Yule Scepter, although very far away from it as of now. This is really a low farm game as a whole. If you take a look at the CS mark, especially on the likes of Ember Spirit, these are very, very aggressive plays from both teams. And speaking of which, there's a Snowball down the bottom line trying to catch out Baga. Look at the stun, look at the Ice Shard's damage, but they have no detection on the ground. Another turnaround, Light Strike Ray is going to miss. Ember Spirit's here. He does have 1 point in Slight, so he can get a very easy chains, or maybe just walks into Chungo with no Ice Ball available. No Laguna Blade down the Tusk, and that's going to be 7-4. Another aggressive dive that gets punished. It does force out a lot of rotation, so maybe that's worth it for the Tusk, but I don't think so. Ember Spirit's not going to misspeed. He'll just go and farm in the bottom lane. In the meantime, the Juggernaut can't get very much since he has so many people occupying this bottom half of the map. Omni Slash still down for about a minute. And, well, Maybe we'll get a little bit of time to breathe. And then again, maybe not. There's going to be charge over onto the Zeus. Bounty Hunter is going to be stalking. He has the Lina to follow up. Laguna Blade is on cooldown for 30 seconds, but I don't think that's going to matter much. Body block's coming out from the Bounty Hunter. Light Strike Array will connect, and with the charge forward, that's going to be his death. Pocket, just the same, will die with the Snowball Ice Shards. Now, Nether Strike onto the Tusk. There's another Light Strike Array at the ready. Dragon Slave will fly, although they don't have the damage to eat through this Cold Embrace. Grant XT going to TP with no level 6 on Wyvern. There's no way to cancel that. Jungle going to throw out another Ice Shards. Light Strike Array going to be off the mark, and now the Tusk is forced to run for his life. Spiritbreaker is going to be charging from the well. Snowball forward in short range. There is a heal bomb coming out from the Dazzle over the sidelines, although he's taking agents for it. Looks like it's going to be worth the right-click damage, and Lina will secure with the extra vision offered by the Spiritbreaker as he charges for the neutral creeps. TP out by the Dazzle, and I can't say this has been a boring game by any means. So many aggressive plays coming out from both of these teams. 10-5 is the kill score, and INTZ find themselves with a little bit of an advantage, especially when it comes to the supporting cast. Skywrath Mage and Winter Wyvern have next to nothing, and their counterparts, the Bounty Hunter, is at the very least sitting on more Venom Boots Wand, which is more than they can say. And Dazzle is going to be working towards that medallion. Well, I said that level 6 would be important for the Zeus, but who can actually set up these kills? The Tusk really hasn't had a very good time of it, and I think that Virtus Legion need to start getting some smokes running, or at the very least need to be getting some aggressive wards on the map. If you take a look at their vision, it is very, very good for protecting their own farm, and that would be all fine and dandy if they were actually farming a lot, but even though they have all of this vision, it's going to protect them a little bit from the Spiritbreaker roams. I'm not sure if it's going to get them enough gold gain across the map, but we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe it'll allow them to get a couple of crucial turnarounds, which is really what they should be looking for. Winter Wyvern only level 5, but partnered up with the Tusk might be enough damage to get a burst kill onto this Bounty Hunter, but Bounty has backed off of the lane. I think this is just going to be a farming TP coming out from the Tusk. Bottom lane, Ember Spirit going to rejoin after going back home. He's going to Remnant down, and King RD will continue farming. It's Power Treads into Bracer build coming out from the Ember Spirit, although he is a little bit behind. The Juggernaut is still mostly on par, so completed drums are flying out to him now. Well, there you go. The Snell is going to deliver its precious cargo. Zeus Ultimate committed as they go up in top lane. Chungo, the Cold Embrace is not going to be enough. The Spiritbreaker jams at home with the Nether Strike. Another bolt thrown his way, but Light Strike Array will stop any further aggression coming out from the Zeus. Vava turns around for a Dragon Slave. Going to drop very low. The bolt will connect. Vava will be healed up, and now charge forward as the Ember Spirit joins the fray. Going for the Zeus. He's tagged up by that track, and well, Cold Embrace or not, it looks like they might be able to secure this kill. But here's the Juggernaut with the Omni Slash, kills off the Lina on impact. Hey, Moonshaker, there's an Ember Spirit in your back lines. Can you do anything about him? The Zeus is already down, looking for some bashes. Grunt XD is going to be silenced up, chased down by Hey, Moonshaker. They don't have a great way to slow down the Spiritbreaker, and he's pretty darn tanky. Now tracked up, they're going to turn around. King RD comes in with the chains. There is no spin mana available for Hey, Moonshaker. Although a snowball in, the Tusk is going to drop the Ice Shards, dropping everybody pretty low with the extra detection dropped on the Bounty Hunter. That Spiritbreaker to hit the deck, but Ember Spirit still standing strong with another chains combination coming out from King RD. He'll pop the drums, trying to run out of here. Tusk is hot on his tail. He has Ice Shards at the ready, but they're going to be wide to the left. King RD going to run back under his tower, and it looks like he wants more. My goodness, this man is ruthless. With so many heroes affected by the weave, maybe I can't blame him, but well, that kill for the Juggernaut really is going to help out the Virtus Legion quite a bit. In fact, that trade as a whole was pretty darn good for them, even though it was even on paper. The hero that they get the gold on and the heroes that they kill were more important, it seems. 1,000 gold up for the Juggernaut, that he'll transition very quickly into a completed Yasha that should be flying out any minute now. Courier going to be flying over to the secret shop. That was purchased by the Zeus. He's going to get a point booster, and looks like he smells something's up. I think they spotted out the Lina, but even though they spotted out the Lina, maybe they don't expect this. Under the tier 2 tower, Light Strike Array is going to miss. And Silence and Navava, this is pretty difficult for them. Spiritbreaker's now completely isolated away from the rest of the team. Grunt XD in a whole heap of trouble, as that's going to be another kill for the Zeus. Now Snowball forward. They look for the Lina, but that Snowball's not going to go far enough, I don't think. But the Ice Shards will. Bava picks up the Invis rune. They have detection on anybody close by. They have Bolt. They're going to spot out the Lina, and now the Dust is there. With the Winter's Curse, they'll turn and get a kill. 11-13. Virtus Legion is starting to turn around a couple of these very crucial ganks. Although INTZ still have a pretty farmed Lina, pretty farmed Ember Spirit. This game is very, very close. Let's go take a look at that last fight recap again. About a 900 swing or so for the side of Virtus Legion when it comes to net worth, and with it, we're pretty much zeroed out in the net worth graph and the experience graph. Look at that, pretty much just the same. Neither of these teams have taken very many towers, but up in top lane, TPs are going to be spent trying to catch at this Ember, but I hope he'll be able to Remnant back. Staying pretty safe. King RD should be fine. But yeah, as I was saying, even though there have been a lot of aggressive rotations from both of the teams, the only tower that has fallen as of yet is the tier 1 mid. And considering that, this might be an advantage game for Virtus Legion if they can ever transition into more towers, as if this smoke doesn't work for INTZ, but that said, it very well might. Well, they're going to be roaming into the enemy woods, and I don't think they'll find anybody. They'll look for the Snowball and the Ember Spirit, but they're not going to find that either. So it looks like both of these teams are mostly just going to be ships passing in the night. Tier 1 tower in bottom lane, not going to be pressured either, as INTZ were just waiting for somebody to farm, but Virtus Legion are already so clumped up. They want to respond to some of these ganks, but they're not going to find it. Tier 1 tower is just out of deny range. Looks like they don't want to take that tower deny, and we'll just end up staring at it in dismay. INTZ controlling the enemy woods. Looks like Virtus Legion might decide to do the same, although they haven't quite played as aggressively in the last few minutes of the game. Things have really slowed down. Let's take a look at our item progression on both of these teams. Jewel Scepter is completed on the Lina, and she has had that for a while, but outside of that, nothing too impressive as far as big items are concerned. Tier 1 tower in bottom lane looks like it's going to be taken in trade for the Tier 1 tower top, although the bottom Tier 1 is dropping quite a bit faster in favor of the Dyer's side. The pushing power of a Juggernaut can be very potent, but with no Mask of Madness, nothing more than just his right clicks, it's going to be reasonably slower. They'll be able to take it just the same, and an even trade across the map for both of these teams. Sanji and Yasha are going to be the order of business for your Juggernaut as they commit a Zeus ultimate just for scouting purposes. With it, they'll see that the INTZ team are on their side of the map and have been for a while. And it's not all for naught. They'll farm up some of the jungle camps, taking those mud golems out for the Lina, and also placing down some pretty aggressive observer wards. That was placed earlier, and that was more recent. But across the map, finally, we have a team that's taking a little bit more control. We can go ahead and take a look at that right now. A lot of vision to secure the Lina as she goes ahead and farms inside the enemy woods. Well, things have really slowed down after such a breakneck pace in the early game coming out from both of these teams. And I think that INTZ really would like to start fighting. Whenever you have Bounty Hunter with track, you generally do. But they haven't found those opportunities yet, but they very well might. This ward vision could translate into some kills, especially now that they see the Tusk mostly alone. Lina, not enough mana to actually go for that kill. Is going to TP back to base. Ember Spirit's going to pull out. And speaking of Ember, going for the Battle Fury, you're going to have that very shortly. Even though his net worth is a little bit behind that of the Juggernaut, the immediate impact you get from the Battle Fury is probably a lot more than what you get from something like a Sanji Yasha. It feels like Sanji Yasha is more of a linear item when it comes to its build-up, and won't have such a stellar increase in performance. Not to say it's a bad item at all. It's actually really good, but yeah, that's pretty much going to be the state of it. Juggernaut is tracked up, doesn't want to spin to get that off since he has so little points in Blade Fury. At the moment, since there is so much early fighting, I like seeing Juggernauts go for more of the Blade Fury build, but Moonshaker seems to be more interested in just hitting those creeps and getting to a point where he's super stacked. And a super stacked Juggernaut could end up doing quite a lot of work inside these fights, although he is going to have to deal with a very mobile Ember Spirit that can just remnant away from it, or a Yule Scepter on the Lina. Good defensive tools against his ultimate Omni Slash. Oh, poor Skywrath Mage. Gonna bump into a whole heap of heroes. This is gonna be a track kill for 3. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's a very easy kill for them. No backup for the Skywrath Mage means that INTZ finally found the pickup that they've been looking for quite some time. And that helps. Even though it is only a support pick, it gives them 700 gold. That's the power of track for you. Ooh. That was a big lag spike. Hopefully that isn't reflected on stream too poorly. Well, that was weird. We're going to move back into this game. Tier 1 tower is going to end up falling, and Lina is going to get Yule Scepter on the Tusk. Light Strike Array not going to be on the mark. He has the Snowball to the creeps. Although the Heal Bomb is going to do a lot of damage and will track him forward, I think he'll be just fine. And looks like INTZ are going to end up backing off, although there's a smoke on the Winter Wyvern, so maybe Virtus will look to go ahead and catch somebody on the retreat or look for an aggressive move themselves, but that's not going to happen for a while. INTZ, at some point or another, should be considering going for Roshan, since they do have the Medallion up and running for the Dazzle. Makes it a lot easier. If they can get a couple of pickoffs, Zeus especially would be a great one for them. Zeus or Winter Wyvern would open up that pit nicely. Ember Spirit's still a couple hundred gold away from having that completed Battle Fury, but once he does, the farm rate picks up so much for King RD, and I'm really surprised that these teams have slowed down. It really kind of feels like this game is just waiting on those next couple of items. Probably Battle Fury for Ember, probably Juggernaut to pick up his next item, whatever that may be. I'm not entirely sure. Alrighty, track over to the Skywrath Mage. We'll give some intel to the inside. If we take a look at their vision as a whole, it's looking really good for them. It's gonna allow Ember Spirit to push down in bottom lane, but I think they could go for something more than that, if I'm totally honest. Battle Fury flying out to the Ember Spirit now, gonna pitch that Stout Shield. Doesn't really need it anymore, and it looks like he'll want to farm up some Ancients, although maybe he wants to stack those first. Sentry Ward is going to be dewarded. A little bit of help from the Ember Spirit, making sure it doesn't get caught out. But yeah, this really is kind of a flatline game. Ints are getting a slight advantage when it comes to this farm war, but only slight. Juggernaut's still keeping up pace, and again, it's just the supports. They're the real disparity. You have Medallion, Arcane's on your Dazzle, and if you look at the supports coming out from Virtus Legion, you really just don't have anything. And it's a pretty sad life to be a support here. When you're dealing with like the Spirit Breaker and the Bounty Hunter to catch up King RD, he has a remnant on the ground, however, and Walrus Punch is too slow incoming. They'll know where the Ember Spirit ended up, but that's not going to mean much. They're going to track up the Zeus, trying to chase him forward. The Ember Spirit's coming in from the right-hand side, and with the track movement speed, they'll chase, but they can't get it. Bloodstone on the Zeus means it's pretty darn tanky. Winter's Curse on the King RD, but no follow-up. Tusk is here, and although he wants to go in, this is very awkward for Virtus Legion. Couple chains, they're going to catch out onto the Wyvern, but now silence up. King RD's getting an Omni Slash. Shallow Grave going to buy him some space. Can he get another Remnant out? Down the low ground, the Arcane Bolt is going to fly, but is absorbed by that Shallow Grave. Charge forward, getting out onto SGG. He'll be able to get a Gren to XD, finds the ultimate over onto Bonefletcher, and with the turnaround, mega kill spree for the Ember Spirit. He gets another Sleight of Fist off. Shallow Grave again going on to the Lina. Can they get the snowball stun? Can they get the chase? Bolt is going to be attempted, but my goodness, this Ember Spirit's just playing with him. Maybe it's going to be his undoing. Smacked once by the Moonshaker. Just a little bit of a love tap coming up from him. Light Strike Array, chains. They almost lose King RD. The Light Strike Array will buy them a little bit of space, and the Ice Shards won't wall him off. Snowball going forward onto the Lina. Does she have Dual Scepter? No, not for 18, but she still wants to turn. Dragon Slave is going to connect onto Chungo, and has a little bit of help from the Tassel. There's that aggression that I was missing over the last couple minutes of this game, and Ints come away huge in victory. When it comes to the gold trade, especially since they have the Bounty Hunter on their team, look at that gold gain for Bounty. It's pretty absurd what that spell can do, and almost all of that's due to ACC on the Dazzle. Those two Shallow Graves absolutely on crucial targets, and King RD was able to turn around nicely. That's the power of the Battle Fury that I was touting earlier. Still, Zeus doesn't die. He gets himself some Bloodstone charges. That's nice and all, and charge will be canceled. Straight into the Midas coming out from Spirit Breaker. Not sure I mentioned it earlier, but Midas on Spirit Breaker is a pretty darn good item once you transition better later. And a BKB this game would be wonderful, and maybe if you can purchase up like a Lincoln's for the Ember Spirit to free up that slot, could be really nice if he wants to go for just straight up defensive items. Juggernaut's still the king of the hill when it comes to farm, but again, it kind of feels like Juggernaut's just not able to do enough. He's 5-2-2. He's not doing bad by any means, but he's just not being as flashy as you'd like the Juggernaut to be at this point. He's really good at taking those early engagements, and well, just hasn't been able to find them. That said, Juggernaut can be very scary when he's stacked, and we're getting closer and closer to that stacked Juggernaut phase. Let's see if he has any items on the floor in his base. No, that's not going to be the case. I have Scotty looks to be the next purchase up for Hey Moonshaker, and that'll help a lot when chasing down these heroes. If they had it, that would have been a dead Ember Spirit for sure at the end of that fight. And as for the Bounty Hunter, he's going into the pipe. Item that we see every once in a while, but ooh, silence down in bottom. That's not going to connect, and who's going to dodge the snowball? Classic play coming out from King RD, going to drop another remnant, and the Ice Shards will wall him off. So all around the board, some pretty nice plays, but it looks like Ember Spirit will be able to run out there. Nicely done with the Sleight of Fist Chains combination, just stopping any hope for a chase. All that's happening. Zeus gets a tower tonight. Wow. That was on the tier 2 tower in bottom lane. Lena gets the tier 1 up in top lane. Zeus ultimate going to be committed. Excuse me, as I'm missing a skill on the Bounty Hunter. They'll be able to snag him with the Walrus Punch and the chase down. Popping into dust, just making sure that beyond a shadow of a doubt that they get that kill. That said, it's not the biggest to pick off, so they're going to go straight into a smoke, but oh, was that spotted out? I don't think so. The Dire Ward has since been dewarded. Looks like they want to go in on mid. King RD is going to get wrapped around upon. This time around, it's going to be a lot harder. He's going to remnant down to the south, and I think the Juggernaut kind of gave that up too early. If they had an Arctic Burn into Winter's Curse from Fog, that could have very easily been a kill for Virtus Legion. But in the absence of the Ember Spirit, they can push for tier 1, but I think you're forgetting your base. Lina's been pushing on this tier 3 tower and gets it almost down to half HP after the catapult's done with it. That's some really easy damage for the Lina. Now a charge forward in mid after she pulls those heroes back with the Might of Fist onto 3. Lina's going to be dropped low, but a Shallow Grave's going to stop that in its tracks. SGG going to be dropped down. Omni Slash flying through, trying to get any of these kills, but the damage is too spread to them when he can't slide TP. You betcha they do. Light Strike Array is going to be the kill, and that's the third one for the team. Chasing forward, Ember Spirit's there with the chains. Doesn't have a lot of mana to speak of, but more than enough to kill off this Zeus. Forced to suicide? No, not even able to get that off. Killing Spree down on the deck. Jumping forward, the Tusk is going to try for a kill onto the Lina, but my goodness, they're just getting overrun. INTZ will find themselves with 5 heroes killed on the enemy team. So many Bloodstone charges for that Lina, now up to 12, and well, speaking of Bloodstone, Zeus is looking pretty sad in that department. Immediately after the fight, TP back to base and then Remnant back into the fight. Ember Spirit's going to put a lot of pressure on this tier 2, and INTZ are starting to hit, and they're starting to hit very hard. The net worth on their supports is really starting to show when it comes to these fights. Imagine if you had like a Glimmer Cape on this Winter Wyvern, or Skywrath Mage for that matter, or just Arcane Boots. Just anything to really help the team, but they can't find any net worth on this map, as it's all really going into the Juggernaut and Zeus. Roshan going to be next objective for INTZ, as it just goes systematically from place to place. Virtus Legion looks like they don't really have the tools at their disposal to contest this. Although they, in theory, could go into the pit. 30 seconds on cooldown for Winter's Curse, 47 on Omni Slash. They're just going to try to push out these lanes as best as they can. Bucky's going to get pretty roughed up by this Rosh, and it's not the fastest Roshan by any means, but as I said, it's going to be really hard for Virtus Legion to actually stop it. So that's the real benefit. And all the while, Ember Spirit keeps pushing out these lanes, so they're not really losing in the lane equilibrium war either. Roshan going to be killed. Lina picks herself up a fresh new Age of the Immortal and almost has the completed Aghanim Scepter. Level 16 Aghanim Scepter hurts a lot. Take a look at the HP pools coming out from the Wyvern and the Skywrath Mage. They are instant kills. Although, I don't think she's going to commit it to them inside the fight. It's always fun to press R and just watch a support pop. She's going to farm very aggressively inside the enemy woods, but we have a pause. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the state of this game, and it's not pretty for Virtus Legion. You have a 1400 net worth advantage for the side of INTZ, and experience isn't much better for them. Virtus Legion rely on getting a great Winter's Curse to turn around this high ground push, I feel. They need everything to kind of align and focus down the Dazzle first so that you can actually get the kills on the other targets. This Dazzle can save them time and time again with like the Glimmer Cape with the Shallow Grave. Oop, Hastring going to keep the Ember Spirit safe even though he was silenced. Winter's Curse going to be dropped, and scratch that about a good Winter's Curse in the next upcoming high ground fight. This is a big opening for them. They're going to find a Laguna Blade kill onto the Zeus. That Zeus is so sad. Look at this Bloodstone, 4 charges. There's just not anything really redeeming. They could very easily just rinse and repeat. Go again. Ember Spirit's going to TP back to base. All of that harass damage that they did is going to be for naught, as he is just going to rejoin the fight again. He'll pop down to his Remnant down the bottom lane, mop up the creeps, and then join the rest of his team as they go for the high ground push in mid. This is going to be very hard defense for Virtus Legion, especially when you start getting tracks out. Draken the Juggernaut's going to be spun off, so that helps a little bit, but the Lina is starting to plink away at this tower. It's not a huge amount of damage, but it's still enough. So to keep this aggression going, Ember Spirit, gonna catch chains onto the Zeus. Your Scepter is going to be committed aggressively. Light Strike Array will connect, although they will save him with the... that used to be a Skywrath Mage. Laguna Blade is going to mean that that's not a Skywrath Mage anymore. Slide of Fist is going to fly through, dropping everybody so low, sure can bounce. Not going to be enough. Omni Slash won't kill off the Bounty Hunter because of a Shallow Grave. They get more tracks off, and another Chains combination, catching out 2. Zeus Ultimate is going to get the kill on the Bounty, so that's a little bit of good news for them. And Moonshaker is again saved by the Winter Wyvern. Another chunk out from the Winter Wyvern as he throws out those Splinter Blasts. Another strike out onto the Zeus. That's going to be a death on him again. And now Chains up onto SGG on the high ground. Lina's going to go there herself, and although there's not enough damage to finish off later, it's mostly just saving the food on the plate. She'll be able to munch that down. A pretty easy Wyvern kill, but now TP's into the tower. Juggernaut wants some blood on his hands, snowballing forward. They're going to catch a stun onto the Dazzlina, pretty much the ideal scenario, but they won't be able to get any of these kills with the Shallow Grave going, and my goodness, the cleave damage coming out from that Sleight of Fist. They're all three detained. Laguna Plate will get a double kill for the Lina, and as soon as he drops down to the ground, that's going to be a kill, and GG called out. As INTZ commandingly take the second half of that game. It started out pretty passively, but as soon as they start getting momentum, they don't let up. The Ember Spirit got completely out of control, and I think that a lot of that just comes down to the draft in general. It's scary playing against the Bounty Hunter, especially when you don't have heroes that necessarily are that great at fighting from behind. So INTZ, they put up Virtus Legion, put up a decent showing, and we'll have to see if they come back in game number 2. But INTZ looking strong in general. Their performance is pretty convincing.